If you're over the age of 65 and you really want to maintain your vitality and your overall mobility, then this video is for you, because what we're going to cover today are the most critical things that everyone over the age of 65 should be doing daily. Now, if you're new to this channel and you don't know who I am, I'm Tara. I'm a neurologic physical therapist who has over 20 years of experience working with people with mobility limitations, primarily those who are on the other side of the hill. And in those 22 years, I have learned a ton about what helps to keep people not needing my services, but also how people eventually end up needing to work with someone like me because they have developed some kind of a mobility issue. And in that time, I have been keeping tight notes, primarily for selfish reasons, and how do I prevent myself from needing someone like me when I am over the age of 65. But more importantly, I want to help people not need someone like me as they age, and that is what we're going to go over in today's video. So, what are the main reasons that I see people that don't have any kind of a neurologic condition, but just have mobility limitations? What are some of the root causes of those mobility limitations? One is a fall. That's a huge one, statistically speaking. It's the number one reason why someone over the age might end up in the hospital due to a fracture is because of a fall. Why do people fall that don't have any type of a neurologic condition? Primarily one of the balance centers in the brain or the balance systems in the body aren't functioning optimally. Not being able to get up from a chair is pretty common. That can cause people to kind of decline pretty rapidly. When you no longer feel confident that you can get up and out of a chair, you're going to really shrink your world. You're not going to go out as much because you don't know if you'll be able to get up from a chair. You're not going to just sit at random places very often, so therefore you're just probably not going to get up and move as much because you don't want to have to sit down somewhere and then have to get back up again. So you just tend to sit a lot more, and that leads to a whole host of problems that can contribute to a mobility limitation. And then the other thing that I see is loving, compassionate caregivers that just start offering to help people out, specifically help people carry heavy things. So one thing that they know is correlated, and they don't really quite know why, is that people with stronger grip strength tend to fall less. It's kind of what the researchers have figured out. We don't really know why. It's hard for me to believe it's because people are just sitting around squeezing their hands. Probably has more to do with the fact that you can grab onto something and hold yourself if you do lose your balance. But overall, I just think people that have higher grip strength are probably carrying heavy things on a more regular basis, which has a tendency to impact your balance or challenge your balance in a way that might sharpen some of those balance centers. So I think that's probably a more kind of acceptable rationale in my mind, is that that's what it probably has to do with. So long story short, what are the things that I think everyone should be doing every single day if you're over the age of 65? The list is short. You should be getting on the floor every single day. When you are afraid of the floor, A, you're going to be more likely to end up there because you're going to panic if you lose your balance. B, if you happen to get down onto the floor due to an involuntary reason, your heart rate's up, you're just not in the best state of mind. And if you've never been down there, it's going to be a lot harder for you to think clearly about what your next steps need to be in order to get help. So number one, get on the floor daily. Two, when I talk about those balance systems, one thing that is oftentimes overlooked or something that people don't really train is the part of the balance system that's related to our eyes. So our vision sends images onto the back of our brain. Those images kind of give our brain kind of reference points. It's one of a few different systems that we use in order to maintain a vertical position, or that our brain uses to maintain a vertical position. When images shift, our brain kind of knows to adjust us in the opposite direction. So we're going to go through some exercises that work on that, just as a general kind of way to address many of the balance impairments or reasons that might contribute to a fall when we age. All right, so for the balance routine with the head movement to really work those, remember those eye muscles I said, and just coordinating the eye muscles with some of the balance centers in your brain, is first you're just gonna start with a cone out in front of you or something to just keep your eyes fixated on, and you're just gonna move your head side to side. Okay, the progression for the feet is always the same. I always recommend starting in a corner. It gives you boundaries. The closer you are in the corner, the smaller the boundaries, and so you won't be able to shift as much, so it's safer. But then as you get better, you can just move out from the corner, moving those boundaries out a little bit. And then for the feet progression are always going to be to start with your feet side by side, about shoulder width apart. Then bring them together because that makes it a little bit more challenging. So same thing, narrower base, and then you can further narrow that base by kind of putting them in stagger standing, moving that head side to side. The next one would be in a straight line, what we call tandem. So one foot's directly in front of the other, and doing that head movement, eyes staying fixated on the cone. And then the last one would be to go to single leg standing. So my suggestion for this, if you're new to practicing something like this or you haven't done it in a while, start with your arms against the wall, lift the foot up first, find what I call the sweet spot where your center of mass is directly over one foot, and then bring your hands off the wall. And then if you can, add the head movement. That's pretty challenging. Again, it doesn't have to look perfect. If you sway a little bit, you notice I just swayed a little bit. That's okay. It's actually when you are having to struggle to maintain your balance, that's actually when your body is doing the most work and is probably learning the most. So as long as you're set up safely and then doing that head movement. Okay, and then the next one, the progression is going to be the same. Now you're going to move the cone and your head and your eyes. Same progression, feet side by side, then feet touching, same thing. Stagger, same thing. Tandem, same thing. And single leg standing. Okay, and then you want to do the same thing, keeping your head straight this time and just following it with your eyes. This will be a whole different experience for some of you. Okay, and then you do that same progression with your feet. And then you don't really need a cone for this one, but the other one that I like is watching your hands and going at diagonals, keeping your eyes on the cone, doing the same progression with your feet, okay? For some of you, this is going to be pretty challenging, so make sure you do it in the corner. But again, that's really just strengthening the eye component of the overall balance system, making your balance reactions just a little bit sharper as those images that are flashing on the back of your brain are changing. Now, the getting up and off the floor, sit to stands. People need to do sit to stands every single day if you're over the age of 65 without your hands, preferably from a low squat position. Now, why do I say that? Because of the fact that if you can get up from like a 12-inch or a 16-inch surface, you're never not going to be able to get up from a standard height chair. So I recently made a video on just like a general leg strengthening program that I think everyone over the age of 65 should be doing. The technique to get up from a squatting to a standing position is in that video. I will link that video below. Highly, highly recommend that you watch that video. If you've made it to this point in this video and you're finding this video interesting, absolutely highly recommend that you watch that video. And then the final tip that I strongly recommend that someone does every day is you carry something heavy in one hand. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be a kettlebell, although I really do love kettlebells for doing this, but you want to carry something, again, it's working on that grip strength. And as I mentioned, we know these things are correlated, meaning that someone who has stronger grip strength falls less. Those people fall less. We do know it's correlated. I think it's correlated because those people aren't necessarily working their grip strength, but they're carrying heavy things on a pretty regular basis. So just to go back through that list, what are my tips to maintain vitality and mobility if you are over the age of 65? One is get on the floor daily. Two is balance activities involving head movement. Three is some sort of a squat to stand every single day, and carrying something heavy every single day. But that is it for this video. If you're new to this channel and you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. But most importantly, I enjoyed spending time with you all today, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.